Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 405. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. We're coming to you live from Electronic 3. Sort of. Not really. Because one, E3 is not live, and two, we're recording this at our normal recording time, but you're hearing this at a time where not everything has been announced. And we're also recording before everything's been announced. So this week, no news! That's right. You're overflooded with news anyway. And I bet you're thinking to yourself, boy, I wish instead of listening to my favorite pals, the Free Cheese, talk about things that I'm excited about, I just want to hear them talk about the games they played this week. Well, guess what? It's exactly what we're doing. We're going to talk about what we've played this week. I've got some fun surprise questions for Mark and Matt to answer. And we're, of course, going to kick things off with our Game of the Year segment as it continues with a new twist this week. Before we do that, Mark, how are you doing?
I am
in the basement.
Oh, well, the basement hasn't changed, but I sure have.
Oh, gosh.
It changes you, man. No, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Actually, got spooked not too long ago, but more on that later.
Oh.
I'm human. It's weird.
That is weird. It turns out. Matt, when's the last time you were feeling fearful for your life?
Every time I walk outside.
Same.
Constant paranoia and fear.
It's the hell bugs.
Yeah. They're almost gone, man. A couple more weeks, right?
I know. I'm hoping. I mean, they won't be, but fingers crossed. I go to Houston for a wedding and come back, and they're all just dead.
Yeah.
Now, do they have them down there in Texas?
No. Don't think so. Oh God, I hope not. They have worse things though. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Reba McEntire.
Don't diss the queen. She'll hear you.
Here's the fun thing about Reba McEntire. The other week, out of nowhere, Katie started singing the theme song to her dumb show, and then I knew all the words to it.
Yes,
and we both knew all the words to it, and I don't know how we knew the words to it. I think it was just like, I don't know.
She just sings about each character, and then she's a survivor.
Well, then she's like, also, why am I crying? Like that's the.
She doesn't stray too far from the sidewalk, you know.
Oh my gosh. Behind these hazel thighs. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, E3's happening. Summer Game Fest stuff kicked off already, at least in our timeline. I'm excited about things, but we're gonna either talk a bit next week. We might do a little surprise E3 show. So stay tuned for that. But for this week, for this episode, we're just gonna party. Hang out, loose style. So why don't we kick things off with our Game of the Year segment. So last week we hit a little milestone with Game of the Year. We've now got 5 games on the list. And as of last week, those games in order are Tetris Effect, Doom, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Celeste, and Super Mario Odyssey. I thought this might be a good opportunity to change the list up a little bit. So I'm giving each of us 2 cards. I just made dumb little designs, but we'll call them Moon and Crescent Moon. So everybody gets 2 cards. Your Crescent Moon card is going to allow you to add a game to the list of our 25. And then your Full Moon card will let you move a game up or down the list. Of course, the Crescent Moon card, if you're going to add a game to the list, you've got to add something that came out in the years 2016, 17, 18, 19, or 20. And with the Full Moon card, with your Move a Game list, or Move a Game card, we're going to put a limit on single game movements. So, for example, if one of you wanted to move Mario Odyssey up a notch, the other of you or me could not go right behind it and move that game another place. That it couldn't go up higher, can't go lower, can't go anything. So if someone makes a move on a game for a week, that game is locked for the week. Now, I also know that, politically speaking, y'all might not be ready to make some moves. So it's okay to hold on to these cards for a little bit, because maybe down the line, you might get more cards. So maybe you want to trade cards. Maybe you want 2 moves and you don't care about adding a game. Maybe you want to make a side bet, side barter. That's a possibility as well. You do you. But yeah, we're gonna add some stuff. I've got a game to add. Do you guys have games to add this week?
I am not adding a game.
Yeah, if I did, I think it would take a bit for me to think about it because I don't remember release dates.
Okay. Stay tuned next week. So I think the fun thing about that is from now on, you might just say, surprise, here's my card. I want to add a game. That might just happen at any point in the podcast or the Game of the Year segment over the next 29 weeks.
Yeah, like I had one, but it just missed the window. It was like 2015. I was like, man, okay.
Oh, Bloodborne? Don't worry.
No, but I was afraid of that.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and throw my game out there. Okay. And that game is gonna be Splatoon 2.
Okay.
It did not make our top 5 that year in 2017. It kind of got buried between Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, and I don't know, but I feel really good about Splatoon 2, and kind of looking back on it, like, for us as well, I think it was one of there's very rare occasions where the 3 of us get together and actually play something a whole bunch. Mm-hmm. And that was one of them. Matt and I went semi-pro for a little bit. But I had a ton of fun with Splatoon 2, and then the subsequent DLC just added so much more to that game. And even now, like, if we wrapped this up and you guys were like, hey, do you want to play Splatoon 2? I would, yes. You know, I just think as a multiplayer game, it definitely has its shortcomings that are unique to the Nintendo platform. But I also think that even in spite of those, I've still been able to have a great time playing multiplayer. And with the single-player campaign, I mean, just the core single-player campaign, the lore that they built in that game that is, like, just below the surface that you really have to kind of go out of your way to discover and fill in the blanks of is intriguing and surprising that they would put that much into this game. But then what they did with Octo Expansion and adding on to that, I think, even more cements how cool that game is. Yeah. I don't know, do you guys have anything different about Splatoon 2?
I do like that semi-hidden lore around it, where it's like, it's a little more tragic than what you would expect from a game like that. Because it's like
yeah,
like it gives the meaning, like turf war. I mean, obviously, you know, it was a serious term before, but in this game they kind of make it like, they kind of try to make it cute because it's, you know, you're just painting the arena, but there's a little more to it. It feels like it's not just for sport. It's almost like for survival.
Yeah, because the turf war that you're doing, you're kind of like scrimmaging, right? Because you're all initially you're all Inklings, the Squid Kids, and you're doing turf war to practice for the actual squids versus octopi. Yeah,
and it just like, I remember like I know this is, I don't know if the second game has it, but at least I know the first game you could like kind of go through like a almost like a book and see like all the different, like the timeline of how things started to where they are now, and just seeing how like the world changed and like how those wars were going on. And what was it, like human civilization like kind of died off during all that or something.
Yeah, it
got weird.
yeah, humans are dead, and like there's reference to human bones and things like that throughout the world. There's some dark, weird stuff in there. Yeah, one of the maps that I think was in the first one, but is definitely in the second one, is a museum of artifacts or whatever, and you can see like it's just human history stuff. Even in Splatoon 3, which is still scheduled for next year, but you see the Eiffel Tower like upside down. It's like they're still on Earth. This is just far after we're gone.
Yeah, so like it's cool to see all that, and especially if you go to look for it. I like that there's just those little nuggets of gold and lore around there for a game that technically doesn't need it at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice.
Excuse the lawnmower if you can hear it. But no, the single players. I never got into the single player stuff. I didn't even play the core mission. I never bought the Octo expansion. It all looked cool from afar, and like the lore and stuff is it's intriguing in a way that's really just because it's so bizarre for Nintendo. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess like Metroid gets dark at times or whatever, but like I don't know. You're so used to Mario saving Peach again from Bowser and stuff like that this is so just out there and weird in a way. I can't dismiss though the fact that at its core this game is probably more lean towards a multiplayer game, and it's hard to play with your friends. It's not impossible, but it's hard, and I think that is a true problem with this game. Because if all three of us want to play, there's no League 3 team or 3 player thing. So like we couldn't really play together unless we tried doing the whole join the match on one another and just pray you're on the same team as you stay in the same lobby. Oh, whoops, communication error, you're booted out of the lobby, you have to restart the whole process again. So
yeah, but like the ranked mode, we couldn't even do together if we try. Yeah. Like, there's no getting lucky with that. You can't.
Yeah. So like I for as good as a game that this is, and I do truly love this game a lot. It's tough to dismiss the multiplayer functionality wrapped around the core game. That's just my biggest gripe with it, but it's a big one for me.
Makes sense.
So where does this guy fall on our list? My gut is to slap it between Smash and Celeste.
Same.
Okay. Cool.
For me, like Smash is the border, and it says like what games are qualified to pass that. That is the entry level fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, man. I guess even as this podcast is released, we won't know what Nintendo has in store for the Direct this week. But that's the one thing I'm most excited for. Not Splatoon 3 specifically, but like I love the hype you can get for a Nintendo product out of nowhere, and renewed hype too. Like all they'd have to do is say, "Hey, here's some Splatoon 3 footage, and here's a new Splatfest for the summer. Here's pick old Sonic versus new Sonic. Which team are you?" And then boom. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be way back into Splatoon 2 again. Even when Splatoon 3 got announced a couple months back, I jumped back in and toured it a little bit. Cool. Well, there's our game of the year. So we all still have. Sorry, do you guys want to move anything on this list currently? Do you want to use one of your magical full moon cards?
Not yet. I'm going to let this list flesh out a little bit.
Yeah. Too early.
All right. Save them for later. Well, very good. We're going to talk about some video games we played this week, but to kind of fill out the show, since we're not really going into news, I thought I would surprise you guys with some questions. These all came to me while driving around running errands yesterday. So thank the rainy roads of Baltimore. We're going to do 3 of these throughout the show. Our first one, and this is a thing where I'm going to ask the question, and I want you to consider it, work together to define a common answer of the question.
What?
You'll see. And yeah, we'll see. All right, number 1. First question, magic question this week, episode 405. What is the best Chekhov's rifle of video games? Yeah. For listeners at home, do one of you want to define a Chekhov's rifle? Or would you prefer I define Chekhov's rifle?
I would like you to define this.
I don't even think I know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. So there is an old play. I don't remember the name of it now. It's been I know the reference now more than I know the play. But at the beginning of the play in Act 1, there's a rifle on the wall. And no one ever acknowledges the rifle. No one ever touches the rifle. No one ever does anything with the rifle. But it's known that somewhere, someone's going to use that rifle. And by the end of the 3rd act, the rifle gets used. Whatever. So it's something that you kind of see early on in a story that appears to not have any value or meaning, but ends up being the most important thing all along. So in video games, what is the best example of Chekhov's rifle?
So, like, the game itself is, like, something that people just don't really pay attention to, and then all of a sudden it's boom, like...
No, I think he's talking in-game.
Oh, like, okay.
I'll let you define it how you want. If you have an answer for either, go for it.
I mean, some games treat it similar like movies where, like, there'll be some foreshadowing or there'll be a common theme they'll have to introduce within the first act, and usually the camera wants you to see something even if it is not really, like, focused on. But that's different from a play, you know. It's a play, there is no camera, you're looking wherever you want to look.
Yeah. Is there a literal Chekhov's rifle? Like a literal weapon that you've seen in a game that's been like...
That's what I thought you were, like, referencing at first. Man. I can only think of games that just do, like, a big twist out of nowhere you just did not expect to happen.
Yeah,
But
I'm trying to think... I mean, Would You Kindly has to be up there, right? As a nominee?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they do some hard telegraphing with that one.
Replaying that game years later, you just realize I'm an idiot. He says it all the time.
Right. And you don't think anything about it because you think he's just being, using good manners.
I don't know if that's our answer, but I think that it's like initial thought.
Yeah, like, for some reason, my mind went to Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know, like, I'm not sure if that exactly applies.
No, I think it does, because it's like, there are some things that are very apparent. I just like the BioShock thing. Like, there's some things that are very apparent from the beginning, but you don't realize it. And that's what makes them so cool in the end, is like, oh my god, it was right there the whole time. You know what I mean? Just like the rifle on the wall, like...
Yeah. But, like, Doki's rifle on the wall is in, like, the 2nd act.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always have to be the exact. But yeah, that I think is a good one. I think the BFG from Doom is one, right? Like, you kind of see that in the newer game, you see that pretty early on. Or maybe, I don't know.
I think that's one of those things where it's assumed it's going to pop up because it stayed so... true to it. I think that was more... I don't think the game ever said BFG until, like, the room and the puzzle to go along with it.
Yeah, you're right.
Man.
Would Devil May Cry 5 count for Nero?
Which
Because,
part?
like,
Elaborate. I don't remember.
V, right?
well, not that, but like when Nero finally like pulls his devil trigger, like
Oh yeah.
because the whole time you're just expecting to use like these different arms, and you just think that he's not going to get his actual arm back after it got severed.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
But even though I was kind of expecting it the whole time, but that's me.
I don't think this is a good one, but Metal Gear Solid 5,
Yeah.
you put in the name of your character and pick a face and avatar, and it's never revisited again until the end of the game, which I don't want to spoil it any further, but for those that know, they know.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know when I like this.
I mean, should I say it? I mean, I don't think it's the winner, but it's one of those things where it kind of happened. To my knowledge, it is never acknowledged. Sorry, the coffee pot went off. It is never acknowledged ever again until the very end.
Huh.
That sounds like it fits the definition. Like it's something
I guess
like you're not really thinking about, but like if it plays a part that you didn't expect to happen, like
I'm good if you spoil it. If listeners don't want to hear it, scrub ahead 30 seconds.
All right. So yeah, it turns out you're not playing as Big Boss. Big Boss cosmetically altered you to look like Big Boss.
Oh wow.
And then in the mirror at the very end of the cutscene, like it flashes to what I believe the avatar and stuff you picked, and then flashes back
funny.
to Big Boss.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example of that. Because like, why? What was the point of that? Why did I do that?
Yeah, I had no idea why that was a thing.
And the whole time you're wondering, like, wait, why did I do this? What was the point?
How
many hours am I into this game, and I still haven't like? Oh, I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of I wonder what happens towards the end of that game, for what I understand, because that's the game that needs a director's cut, not fucking...
for real. Nier kind of does some of that with your file name.
Yeah.
Stuff. That was cool. I feel like there's also some stuff in like the Arkham games, like gadgets that you see and stuff like that you eventually get. But maybe that's not the best, most literal example of a Chekhov's gun. Yeah, we can move on. I think we adequately answered that one. Yeah.
I mean, were we supposed to come to like one answer?
It was a talking. You know what I mean? Just a talking
okay.
point. Nothing.
I do like the Metal Gear one though.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that fits it the clearest, in my opinion.
Oh, that pissed a lot of people off, by the way.
Chekhov's broken rifle.
Oof. Yeah. That's the one. So, listeners, if you have your own examples of Chekhov's gun as it appears in video games, write in. Let us know. podcast@thefreecheese.com. A little later on, we'll check in with another magical question of the week to throw Matt and Mark through a loop. But until then, I'm here to tell you about Monster Hunter Rise, which I don't want to say that I ever really fell out of, because I've always been, occasionally jumping in, doing a hunt here and there. But I would say I'm playing it more than other things this week in particular. As I played through, I last time I talked about the game, I had cleared the main story. They kind of split the story into two pieces. So there's, the whole game you're playing through, you have your hub quests and you have your village quests. And the village quests are kind of like the main quests solo, and the hub stuff is all your multiplayer stuff. And by the time you get through all the solo quests, you kind of get like a cutscene about the rampaging monsters coming to attack the town, and you stave them off, and you fight this big bad cool guy and whatever. Well, I kept going with the hub quests, and what I've been trying to do is complete every quest available at least once to get a nice little check mark next to it. So some of those, like when you're going through, in order to get to the next like story beat or the next rank, you only need to do like 5 of them out of the like 20 for each rank. So now I've been going back through and just occasionally just do them, listen to a podcast, whatever, do the hunt. But I finally finished all of the Hunter Rank 7 quests. And it throws you into another big event that you can do with multiplayer online, where you fight a monster called Narwa the All-Mother, which she is this gigantic, it kind of like, you remember the dragons in Breath of the Wild that fly around and have the scales? Kind of like that, except much more like sinewy and snaky, like very like quickly swirling around. And what she'll do is raise stones out of the ground and then kind of like make these platforms that you can jump up to. And while you're on there, there's mountable gun turrets that you can attack her with. Really, really fun fight. She's got electric powers, so there's stuff where she can shock you and leave you stunned and whatever. But I think like one of the more like pretty areas of the game too. You kind of go to an area fight-wise that you haven't been to yet. It stood out to me. Like it was a lot different than just like traditional the grounds of a Monster Hunter game. And then what happened after is, I guess, so since I'd last played or last talked about it rather, version 2.0 and now 3.0 have come out. And 3 added this new ending. So there's, you guys have seen the twins that are in this game. They're the 2 girls in kind of like maroonish outfits. They're kind of like the village. I don't know. They were kind of early on in the.
And,
I was about to make
Devil
the same
and Popola,
reference.
yeah. Well, what I'm going to say is the twins here, who kind of are the ones that give you your main quest and everything, might be a little more like Devil and Popola than you think.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah, this new thing at the end of beating Narwa the All-Mother, I still have more to do. Like, there's still an actual definitive ending to the story, but let's just say a certain pair of twins, certain pairs of eyes start certain glowing as they talk about a certain pair of dragons. So I don't know if they're behind summoning all of these monsters, if they're the reason for the rampage or what it is, but
are they Hylian?
Nice little, huh?
Are they Hylian? Their ears are
those ears, I
very
know, man.
pointy.
Yeah, I don't know. But that too, right? So I like playing this. Like I'm now that I've completed that bit, the next like top right corner of the screen objective for me to do is to reach Hunter rank 20. Where before, in order to upgrade your Hunter rank, you had to complete 5 out of however many things. Now I just need to do hunts, and every time I'm doing hunts, I'm getting points it's XP points to level up my Hunter rank and whatever. I'm already at Hunter rank 15. After when you complete the main thing, you're at Hunter rank 8. So it's climbed pretty quickly. I just need to get to 20 and see what happens next. But I'm still like, for me, it's like, I want to get the perfect gear, not just in like power, but also aesthetic. In one of the newer updates, I don't know if it was 2 or 3, but they added layered armor, which is basically transmog. So you can build armor that looks cool and not have to worry about what's underneath. They've uncapped your buddy ranks. Your buddies can just level up now freely. There's no limit to them. And yeah, I'm trying out new weapons here and there. I just started trying out the bowgun for the first time, which I don't know if I like, or I don't think I'm good at. And I've really come to appreciate you have these kind of like switch skills or something is what they're called. So like when I have the long sword, and my long sword, of course, is a scythe, you can mix and match like what your skills are. But I have this one skill where basically it lets me charge with a scythe and kind of like as I swing forward, I like stick it into the monster and throw myself up into the air with it. And then if I hold another button, I will come swinging back down and like carve through them. That one's really rad. I've got another thing. If I use the dual axes or dual blades, but I have 2 axes. But if I have the dual blades, where if you go into like demon mode, which like, I don't know, it's cool. You glow red and you can attack a little whatever. And you hit a certain button, that lets you kind of hit them in one spot and then do a flip kick, propel yourself into the air, and then just like roll, drag, attack all down the monster's back. And it kind of like magnetizes to them as the animation plays out. It's really neat. The bow gun, none of that I've discovered yet. Maybe I need to like get a better gun or better bow. I don't know what it is, but none of that stuff yet. But yeah, it's been cool to like equally split my time with Monster Hunter Rise between the TV, like, okay, full hashtag gamer mode, let's get into this, and then also like, all right, I'm gonna watch 6 episodes of The Wire and play in handheld, just kind of doing hunts. And I love the game has that versatility for it, and I still appreciate the Switch having that versatility to do that. So yeah, Monster Hunter Rise, I'm sure by now we probably know, or I think actually no, this might be one of those instances where this is still later today technically. But Capcom has more to say about Monster Hunter. Yeah, that's
I'm sure.
If you're listening to this the morning of tonight at 5:30, there's a Capcom showcase for E3. So they'll be talking, I assume they'll talk more about Monster Hunter Rise. What I'm really looking for, and I know not unfortunately, but I think they're probably prioritizing PC porting at this point overall, but I hope that they're going to add some Nintendo stuff in here.
You know they will.
Dude, let me get a Samus skin.
Nope, it's going to be a Link tunic. Have fun.
Why not both? Why not for the 35th anniversaries? Let's get Pit, let's get Samus, let's get Link.
I mean, I think we know why for Samus, but
that's true. Yeah. But I think it'd be cool. I mean, look, they put Ryu in the old one, they put Mega Man in some of the other ones. Like,
yeah,
I think they could easily do it. And the cool thing is they've done this stuff before, but any of the old Monster Hunters I've ever played, I never ranked high enough to unlock that stuff or to do the quests to get into it. But now I'm ready to go. If they drop it today, let's party, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, it's. I'm happy. It's like such a happy accident that the pre-order didn't cancel and I got into this game, but like I'm so happy that one of them finally clicked. And it's really bizarre to me because you do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like I often criticize like kind of that repetitive, you know what I mean? Like you're just kind of doing the same things over and over again, but like they do feel different each time in some way. It's because you might have a different combination of weapon or...
Also, like, if you're anticipating the repetition and it knows how to build the game around that, I think it's okay.
Sure, yeah. Like,
if it comes out of left field and it's like, why is this even an element? It can get messy, but I think Monster Hunter knows how to tackle that.
Yeah, you know, and I think, like, in some cases, it's like, oh, another monster might show up. Because you get that occasionally while you're playing. It's like, Rathalos appear on the map, and you're like, oh, dude, all right, here he goes. And then he'll come in and... while you're trying to hunt something else, and then you can attack him and ride him and attack the other monster. There's elements like that, but for me, like playing with other people has been the best part. The solo stuff, I don't like. I have fun exploring the maps and seeing what's there because there's a lot of secrets in the map still to uncover. But playing with other people and just like people who are good with the hunting horn, like bless them because they buff the whole party. They do wild. But I also appreciate like. Playing with like I'm in there with dual swords and then there's just 3 people with bow guns. Like that's equally as fun as there's so much variety to the gameplay and how things can shake out.
And the insect glaive is still an option?
It is, yeah. I haven't I think I tried it in the training mode or whatever it is, or the training area.
That would be my weapon.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
So
you're like It's more like doing like tricks in the air than it is actually fighting with a spear. It's basically like Tony Hawk's Pro Spear.
Yeah, but and like I need to practice it, and I do want to get better at different weapons. Like for a little bit I was using a switch axe, which it's kind of like a
that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one was cool. I had one that's it looks like origami, so it's all like cool papery style.
Wow.
And that's the thing too, man. Like the more stuff, like the more monsters you start uncovering, and you go back to upgrade your current armor, and you realize you've unlocked all this other weird armor that because you have materials now, you're seeing other things. Like there's so many weird combinations of armor and weapons and skins, and yeah, it's neat. I super dig this game. Yeah,
can't wait for the all Palico version.
Man, yo, so they added the Palamutes this time, the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, Palico's still better.
Wow.
If you're playing by yourself, you get both of them. But if you go on a hunt with multiplayer, you have to choose which one goes with you.
Yeah.
I have been doing Palico all the time. And I know now the true Monster Hunter players versus the noobs, whether or not they have the Palico or the Palamute. Palamute's great for mobility because you can jump on his back and ride around. But the Palico not only will attack for you while you're in a fight, but the Palico will also gather materials for you as you're fighting. That's the true champion.
It's the ticket. It's the indicator.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's still a lot of the game that they could do a better job at surfacing explanations for and understandings of. Like, I have so many weird materials that, like, should I hold on to these? Should I sell these? Do I need these? I would love like an official companion app or wiki to kind of like, and there's people who have made them, but I don't think there's a really good one for Rise out just yet. But stuff where I can like easily look at, okay, what's the armor that I want? Oh, I have to get these things. Where do I get these things? You know what I mean? That's the thing that I don't think the game does very well. But it's still a lot of fun. And even if I like, there's been times where I like get really gung ho about, okay, I'm gonna go get this armor, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna play the game and not worry about chasing a thing right now. And then I end up getting lost in it and just having fun. Anyway, that's Monster Hunter Rise. I could talk forever about it because I genuinely love that game. And I reinstalled Monster Hunter World on Xbox. I don't know if I'm gonna jump back into it anytime soon, but I don't know. I never finished that one, so now I'm kind of like, do I go through that? Go through Iceborne also? I don't.
I heard only good things about Iceborne.
Yeah, that's why I kind of want to go back through it. Especially if I do kind of hit the wall with Rise, where I like see all the monsters and see all the content. Like obviously, there's always still stuff to do, but story wise, I might just go back through World. I'm gonna miss the wire bugs though. So, how many wire bugs are in your party in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, Matt?
0 at the moment, but that doesn't mean I can't create them in this game. Yeah, all right. I'm finally ready to talk about this game after a couple weeks, and I'm only like, so here's the fun part. My play counter only says about 5-6 hours. I have probably played this game for 10 to 11 hours. That is because of me dying a lot to a certain boss and in other areas and having to retrek through. So, with that being said, with me playing for roughly that amount, I still have absolutely no idea what the hell is going on in this story. You could tell me this game is about 30 different things, and I will believe you playing this much of the game. Cause I just have no idea where it's going, we don't even know what it is, kinda. I have a basis. Tokyo's being devoured by a demon son. Sure. That's about the extent of it. There's a weird lady in black talking to me a lot. She's next to this dude in a wheelchair, is not talking at all, but seems to be the main dude in all this. Matador showed out of nowhere. There was this other character that had a dog that talked, that popped up in the scene. Haven't seen him since that scene. Don't know what's going on there. I think there's a little girl. Haven't seen her in a bit. So I don't, honestly, I have no idea what's going on. But the randomness and the vibes and themes of this game kind of keep me around. It's just awesome. It's just so dark and Japanese and weird. Almost kind of like Yakuza in a way, but like there's just so much weirdness, and it's all over the place, but in a good way, that it keeps me interested, that I don't know what I'm going to walk into in the next town, dungeon, whatever. So that's kind of what has me going through all this. Right now, like, because of the age of this game, there's no markers or anything to navigate where you have to go for your main objective. But in a way, that's kind of nice. It's nice to go back to some of those games. So it has me talking to a lot of the NPCs a lot. And it has me exploring a lot more. And there's been times where I went to a place probably before I should have been there, and I didn't trigger anything because I had to go back and do something else and then go back. But because I've been getting tripped up with that from time to time because I've already been there, I kind of ruled that out of like where to go next. So there's been a couple times where I've been kind of stuck just wandering, just trying to figure out where to go or whatever. And like an example is like I found a sewer. I got to a point where I ran into like this community, but there was a gate kind of preventing me to go to the next thing. There's a gatekeeper. Gatekeeper said no go. Well, I talked to another dude who collects junk, but he didn't mention anything about the gate. He just said, "Oh, come find me when I need junk." In a different area of the map, there is this bar lady that says, "I have to go south to this town." All right, well, keep in mind, I went to the sewer place first. Then I talked to this bar lady. I then go south, go to the town, but the town is locked. I can't get into it from the world map or whatever. So I go back to the town. After not knowing what to do for a bit, I was wandering around. About 15 minutes later, I just went back to the bar lady. Whole new dialogue scene. She said, "Oh, you have to go through the sewers." All right, well, the gate man has me locked out. I know that. So I go back, talk to the gate man. Still the same dialogue, nothing. Go talk to that junk dude randomly. All of a sudden, he gives me a quest to go find a piece of junk that will allow me to get through the gate. So it's a lot of, I don't know if it's just bad timing on my part or whatever, but there's a lot of this back and forth. And that's not the first time that that's happened to me. So it really does have you exploring and retracking some of your footsteps to kind of progress through the game. I've found out that this is the sequel to Pokemon. This is the reason why I never played another Pokemon game. Because this is the real sequel I've always wanted. Dark demons, catch them all, and combine them to make better demons. That's pretty much this game at its core. And I've discovered that, and now I'm appreciating this game for what it really is. It's just a demon-catching game where you use these demons to take down other demons in battle. Sounds like a lot like Pokemon. That's because it is what it is. And then the thing that I really love about this game is the combat. I mentioned it before in passing 2 weeks ago, but the combat is so simple, but yet so advanced. It's very technical. There's a lot of emphasis on gathering your party around strengths and weaknesses, and it goes back to the way the turn system is. It's the player turn and then the enemy turn, but each of the characters in the party or the opposing field attack. So it's all in a line. But if you get a critical hit, or if you attack using a weakness and it hits, you get a turn back on that side. Or the counter to that, if you the attack is missed or blocked, or it's absorbed because it's like a water attack and you're an enemy, or like someone in your party is immune to water, that will have them lose a turn. So it's very much kind of knowing your enemy, knowing the kind of spot you're in, and building the team around the strengths and weaknesses. And I got stuck on a boss fight for 3 hours. For those that play the game, it's the Matador. Pretty early, he's in the sewer, so be ready for that. He had a lot of what they call force attacks. That is air, like an air attack in this game. That I found out after about an hour that my party, my entire demon party, was pretty much weak to air attacks. So he kept getting turn after turn after turn before I could even get one, and then boom, I was dead, and I'd even last in the fight for 2 minutes. So this game does not stress leveling up. Like, you can level, sure, you can increase your strength, your magic, and all that stuff, but like a +1 in strength is not nearly as good as changing a demon out that's 3 levels lower, but has the strength against the type of enemy you're going against. Because that extra turn is a whole new attack instead of just like a +2 on your attack or whatever. So party formation is such a big thing, and it took me 3 hours or so. Also, I was in an unfortunate spot where all my demons were kind of exposed to this, but because of the systems in this game, like I was able to fast travel out of the sewer, go to a section where I didn't really catch or invite a lot of the demons into my party, so I did a little bit of running around there, got a couple new demons, and then went to something of shadows or shadow. I want to say League of Shadows, but that's not right. It's the Tower of Shadows, I think. That is the area or the person you talk to combine your demons. Well, I literally made a demon that was just immune to force attacks. I put him in my party. I went back to the Matador, and all he did was just pass his turn to the next person. I didn't even attack with him. He was literally there to absorb this all-party attack regarding force, and because he would block it, the Matador will lose a turn. So then the turn will come back to me, where then I could attack and do whatever. So, like, this game lets you get away with some of that. And by passing, you can't pass twice consecutively because you will lose the turn. But you can pass once, and there's no penalty for losing a turn. So literally, it got to that person's turn. I would pass just to go to the next character that actually had the attacks that would actually hit on this boss. So there is so much. It's a traditional turn-based thing. There's nothing like revolutionary about the turn-based stuff. Like, it has your regular attack, magic attacks, party buffs, party debuffs, like all that stuff. But the way you have to make your party around strengths and weaknesses, I think, is a cool concept. And is really just stressed in this game a lot. And I think I appreciate the way they approach their combat system in regards to that. And it makes you want to collect a good party of demons, and kind of have a varied party in case you run into something. Now, there's no I have not found a Bill's PC to like kind of have a demon and then kind of send them away without totally losing them yet. So there might be a little give and take there that I'm yet to kind of have to deal with. But I think this is a really well done battle system for it being so basic at its core. And yeah, that is one of the reasons why, and probably the main reason why, I love this game a lot. Now, your main character has a cool ability to eat these what they're called Magatamis, I believe. You digest them and you stay in your system, and then you can swish them out at any time. Well, previous to a battle, but that is what tells your character what his strengths and weaknesses are. So I can have a Magatami that is just a strength build, but has ailments against like conditions like poison, sleep, silence, that kind of stuff. Or I could do one that buffs him for force. So he could have absorbed those force attacks, but then my weakness could have been physical attacks, which was the other thing that this boss was doing, which is probably not the best thing. So like, there's a lot of playing with that too within just your own character, and then you kind of layer that with the rest of the demons in your party because you can have up to 3 more, so you're four in a party. And yeah, I think that's the best part of this game. In my opinion. Yeah, the story is going to be probably cool, weird, and neat, and whatever. It is going to be what it is, but I'm going to remember this game because of the battle system. I'm not going to remember this game, though, because of its performance on Switch, because there are some bad frame drops. Like, there's times where I'm seeing a cutscene in 15 frames per second, it feels like. But other than that, that's my experience with Shin Megami Tensei 3 so far.
Question. Does positioning a party member affect the turn outcome? Like, do you also have to strategize where to put them in your party to know if they're going to be first or second or third in the rotation?
So I haven't figured that out yet. I think there is, but I don't know. But I haven't really worried about it yet because I learned about that pass command not skipping a turn. Okay. So there's like I've really only had like one demon usually in a certain fight that's like not very effective, or I don't need them to attack at this point because they're more my healer or whatever. I want to save their MP. I usually just pass the turn, and then it just so happens my next demon or my main character is somewhat competent against that enemy type.
Cool.
I feel like there's been times where I've, in the other one that I've played, that I've noticed it kind of seemingly jumps around at random, who attacks first or who gets hit first, that kind of stuff. I don't know. But there might be something.
It might be
underneath.
the agility thing, you know?
Yeah.
Much like
you're
Pokemon.
You're right.
But yeah, no, dude, this is really good. And I'm kind of happy that I'm traveling because it's going to force me just to focus on my Switch.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this weekend, I'm going to Houston for a wedding, but like, I think there's going to be some downtime. I think I'll get a lot done in this game, and I'm very, very excited to see what this thing throws at me because it is all over the place. Literally, like I think there's two different things I can do right now if I absolutely wanted to, and I don't know which one to do. I don't know if the other one's important. I don't know which one's the side quest, which one's the main quest. It's really weird, but yeah, no, I'm in love with this game right now.
Plus, I think the DLC dropped for it.
Yeah, I saw something about that. I didn't read too much into it though because I didn't know if
They're
it's
like
a remaster.
I mean, it's stuff from like
game spoilers.
From what I was seeing, it's like optional places to go to if you want to get some more experience and like level up a little quicker. And plus, you can get some cool characters like Dante.
Yeah, but I think that's the cool thing about this. Like, yeah, I guess you could wander around and try to get levels or whatever, because the level in your main character matters for kind of you taming demons, being able to invite higher level demons or creating demons that go to a higher level. Like, there's times where you can make like a level 9, a level 9, like a level 27 if the combination's right. But like my character level right now is like 20, so I can't create him because, well, the game won't even let me, but like I can't tame him. He's not under my level. So like there's the advantage of leveling in that aspect, but for battle, I don't see me grinding a lot of levels because I'm struggling against a boss. I see me being more in the menus, going through my skills and what the demon traits instead.
Do you feel like the game does a good job at surfacing the battle system, or did you have to kind of dig on your own to find that stuff
I think
out?
the first hour of that boss fight was me finally figuring out the battle system. I mean, this game, I just from the gist of the story, I don't think this game is very out there with this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did read that guide that you sent, the kind of beginner's guide, definitely helped a lot. But then, yeah, kind of beating my head against the wall about this boss because, like, I'm supposed to be there. There's kind of nothing else I'm supposed to do. I knew it wasn't under-leveled. Like, I have to be there at that time. There's no way it would take me 3 hours of leveling just to make it 5 minutes but still lose. So I think that just it's almost like the gas coin fight. Like, you know, you go and you die and you die and you die. Then it becomes like, all right, I'm not playing it right. And then you kind of learn the game.
Okay.
So it kind of did that, but yeah, it's not very, like, it tells you about the weaknesses and the stuff like that, but it doesn't it doesn't tell you, like, dude, build your party around it. You kind of have to figure that one out on your own.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you were liking it. It's still, I gotta get it at some point. I don't know when, but I want to and play through it. Yeah. Y'all ready for magical question number 2?
Bring it on. Hopefully I understand the reference this time.
Nah, yeah, no reference this time around. Okay. So the question this time is, which video game spin-off would you greenlight if you were given enough budget to publish it?
I have a gut answer, but it's not the right answer. If we're doing a discussion-based thing, though...
oh, dude, no, we're going to talk. Let's talk it out.
Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, please make that number 2.
Still platinum?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Spin-off. I think I would like something WarioWare-esque, but with Goemon characters.
Oh, that'd be very good.
Actually,
Yeah.
well, no, you know what? No, my one idea I did way back. I wanted a Wario versus Goemon.
Oh, that'd be very good.
Because Goemon's portrayed kind of like a Robin Hood type, where he takes money for good reasons, I guess, and Wario is a greedy little bastard. So I would like to see them try to take money from each other the whole time. And maybe it's like I never played it, so I don't know if it's good. But that was it, Crash Twinsanity, where where you're Crash and Cortex and you have to work together.
Yeah, that okay.
I think I would want something like that.
You could play that game. Which Ratchet and Clank game would you want to see? That's probably the better question because they did all the spin-off types.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else.
The thing that I've wanted for 5 years now is an Uncle Death skateboarding game.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
But I would you can't just do a straight up Tony Hawk thing because just make him a playable character in Tony Hawk. But what it would have to be is a free roaming skateboarding game, kind of maybe like a racing in a way, where you're doing tricks along the way, but you have his scythe the whole time. So you can take out your opponents, you can take out things along the map, and that,
I'm picturing a Bayonetta game, but you're him skating around.
Dude, I'd be so down with that. If Suda could get on that, stop whatever else he's working on, just get Grasshopper moved over to make that.
So stop No More Heroes 3.
Why even make that? You know what I mean? When you could just make an
How
Uncle
dare
Death skateboarding game.
Okay, for that trade-off, I'll allow it.
That's what I'm saying. Why make any other games? You got Grasshopper over there making Ninjala when they could have had the true winner.
Did they make Ninjala?
Grasshopper, yeah.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Well, no, never mind. I'm just thinking of Gung Ho. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
So
Pardon
I probably
me.
would have played Ninjala a little bit more if it was Grasshopper.
I almost reinstalled it this week, and then I was like, "Oh, right, that's what that game
It
is."
wasn't that good. Also,
No need.
figuring out how to start a match in that game was very hard.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I guess these are considered spin-off, but bring back those NHL hits, MLB Slugfest, NFL Blitz. Bring back the good old arcade sports games.
Yeah,
Those
I would
Midway
like that.
ones. Yeah.
Big the Cat Fishing.
Yes. So down for that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Oh, those
Bowling with Knuckles.
There's Resident Evil squad-based games. Those multiplayer ones.
The
Those are
Outbreak
real
ones?
good. No. I meant Umbrella.
Oh.
What's
okay.
what's the fucking name?
It's like Operation Raccoon City and...
Yeah, I guess we're getting Ever Resistance. So my prayers have been answered.
Have they?
I think it would be cool to have a Diablo-like Zelda game. I know that sounds really dumb and redundant when I say it out loud, but I'm picturing more of a 4-player co-op action RPG. You can be a Hylian, a Goron, a Zora, a Sheikah, and having those skill trees and just dungeon crawling.
Yes.
So you're not just 4 links the whole time. Or 3.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
If they can do more Hyrule lore based stuff where you're not Link and you're just other characters.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? The seeing stuff like Cadence of Hyrule come out, you're like, that stuff is like, Nintendo will never make the game you're describing.
Right.
Because they are, it's got to be a new idea, it's got to be a whatever, but someone else.
I really wish, this is coming off the heels of what's probably coming later today, kayfabe, not kayfabe. But I really wish instead of Mario and Rabbids getting the tactical treatment, I wish, why didn't Splatoon get that? It makes so much more sense in Splatoon.
Yeah.
I guess because Mario sells. You put Mario's face on anything.
But so do Rabbids. The war against the...
Not like Mario, man.
The squid or kids, we don't know which one they are, but against the fucking Rabbids and this Team Squid Kid,
Yeah.
You know what? This might be the most original idea I've ever had, but I think you take Star Fox, right? And you turn the R-Wings into futuristic racing cars and like zero gravity like race courses, and have like an intergalactic like racing competition. I don't think Nintendo's ever done anything quite like that yet.
They definitely know.
That'd be really cool.
I could see them doing like 5 of those.
Could call it like 0G or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
0 with a letter.
Or like, okay, so it sounds like you're describing like an F1 game. But
kind of, but like...
But it's like...
Who needs to
no gravity.
And the cars
I don't
are
know
like
what else
2
you could
times
call
faster.
Yeah. 0 to 300 in like a second.
How about a Splatoon skateboarding game? All of my great ideas are just take a thing that I think is cool.
Remove the characters. You're just a skateboard.
Yeah, I know. Like, are you?
You're a skateboard, but instead of wheels, you have hands and feet on the trucks.
Both.
If you're gonna keep pitching skateboarding games, I'm gonna pitch another Metal Gear game, and don't say Zone of the Enders. But like, why didn't we ever go Mech Warrior with the Metal Gears?
Well, Solid Snake, there was a skateboarding minigame in one of those games, so there's that. So
it's Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. There should have been like a tactics game where you play as the Metal Gears.
Yeah. They did a tactics game though. That was the one on PSP, right? Like,
was that Acid?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I don't think it had Metal Gears in it. I think it was focused more on
I heard they were pretty good, though.
I never played them because I never had PSP.
How about a Bloodborne skateboarding game?
Well, you had that kart racer for a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it'd be cool if you did a spin-off of PT.
As a skateboarding
Silent
game?
Hill. No, it's actually figure skating. Sorry.
Oh, I like this. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we've got a lot more games to talk about, and we've got another surprise question, pop quiz later on. Pop quiz? Maybe. I don't know what to call it. But we'll be back right after this. Mark, have you played this new hot skateboarding game called Astalon Tears of... Wait, this is not a skateboarding game? I thought this podcast was nothing but skateboarding games. Mark, what is Astalon Tears of the Earth? Or is it Tears of the Earth?
I'm going to say Tears.
Okay. Why is the Earth crying?
Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Play Final Fantasy VII to find out.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, he does. That's a good reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I forget when I first played the demo of this. I think it was like back in like February or something. There was just like Steam had some like weird like demo day going on. And this was one of the many games I played. It's it looks like a 8-bit like retro like Metroidvania kind of game. But it shares a lot of vibes with Castlevania 3. How like you have like multiple people you can switch between, but the difference with this one is you have to find certain areas to do the switching. It's not just on the fly. You play as basically like a mage, a fighter, and an archer, and each have their own abilities and certain areas that they can go into. But like the story setup, it is a Metroidvania, but it has I guess roguelike elements, because it's still the same map. Like you're in this castle the whole time, and that doesn't change. But every time you die, you get to spend a currency to permanently upgrade your stats. And there's kind of a story tied into that, where the mage kind of knows what's going on. Like you are trying to, you're three heroes from a town. All the water has been poisoned, and all the villagers are dying off because of it. So you're trying to, I guess, purify the water as well as the world, I guess. And I guess this castle is like a source for a lot of that poison. I'm not like too far into it, but so far that's what I've gathered. But the mage kind of knows a little more than the fighter and the archer. So like every time you die, doesn't matter who you are, you will go to like this other worldly area, and you face this demon. It's like just like a giant like goat skull, deer, like a bull skull kind of thing, just giant cloak, and has like orbs coming out of it, and all the orbs have like different people trapped inside of them and some shit. I forget the demon's name. It's like Ephitus or something like that. But apparently the mage, which his name is Algius, Algius, I think that's how you pronounce it or spell it. But made a deal with
Algus.
Okay. Made a deal with this demon to where, like, for the cost of his soul, they get to come back and get resurrected every time they die, so they can continue trying to, I guess, destroy the castle, defeat the demons, and save the world. But the other two are unaware of this, so they don't know that, like, they're coming back to life every time they die, but yet they're starting to catch on that, like, they feel like they've been in these areas before. Some of it feels familiar. But the game isn't too heavy on the story. You just kind of have to, like, there's just minor dialogues at certain moments. They just kind of sprinkle it throughout the game, but it's very seldom. Yeah, so Alex doesn't want to tell him about it, and that's your way of, because whenever you defeat creatures, you get souls. You spend those points. You can upgrade each character's stats separately, but you all share the same health. And every time you upgrade that, it goes up 1 point, but the currency keeps like almost like doubling every time you try to upgrade that. So like they really want you to, I guess, grind a lot for souls and whatnot to keep doing this stuff. And you do unlock more features for the game as you go throughout it too. Like you'll find items and you can toggle them on and off, and they will have different effects with the game. Or like one is the map. Some will be like abilities for specific characters. Like I just got a sword for the fighter, so for the longest time, he could only just slash, obviously. But now, because I found a different sword and I can just equip it, like toggle it on, now he can shoot a little wave out of the sword. Almost like Link when he's at full health, but it doesn't travel as far. It's just like a little wave that is like a couple inches in front of you. But I can just have that on all the time, and doesn't matter what health I'm at. It's like, that's cool. So like you really have to think about like who you want to upgrade and how you want to upgrade them, because they each have their own like beginning stats too. Like obviously the fighter's going to be a little stronger than the rest. The archer's going to be a little faster or like attack quicker or whatever than the other ones. She's cool because she can do a wall jump kind of. It's not like a jump towards one wall and then bounce off of it to get to the opposite. It's more of you are trying to get from point A to point B, but point B is a little higher than you, so she will kick off the wall to propel herself upward to land on top of the platform.
Sure.
So she does stuff like that. And she can only shoot one direction. And the mage, he can only shoot one direction too, but his kind of thing is you'll see these orbs throughout the castle. They're like faces. I think they're like human or bird faces. Can't really, I forget, but they have like an orb in their mouth, and he has to shoot them with his rod, and they will activate these like these pillars, and like they'll go away, and they're usually blocking a pathway or like a doorway or something, and that'll help you traverse. So that's kind of his thing. The fighter kind of has his thing where there's like these blue vines, and you always have to cut them down with the fighter to traverse in certain areas. And like I said, for the archer, she can jump up to places. So like it's a lot of figuring out who to switch between while trying to maintain like your health, and like a Metroidvania, trying to figure out where you can and can't go. And so it's just a lot of that going on. It is hard because of the sharing the health.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize I could do this, but like trying to find the next bonfire area where you can switch between characters, like that's where like a lot of the backtracking comes from, because you'll go so far and be like, oh shit, I can't be here with this dude. I gotta either go back to the last one that I know to switch, or I can maybe try to press forward in a similar area to try to find like a new bonfire. But apparently you can rest at those bonfires, and that might restore your health. I didn't pay attention to that, but that's also where you can save your games. But if you do rest, it will do like a little cutscene of them like at the bonfire, and they'll share some dialogue that way. And because of those moments where they're talking and you get a little more context, they reward you with more souls for, I guess, going through those moments. So like that's kind of cool. And if you kill enough enemies, you get like a little item. You get like a bestiary, and it'll give you a description of the enemies after you kill enough of them. And if you turn in that to this like weird Mothman hiding in a cave, it's just like a Mothman in a robe. He will reward you orbs for discovering these creatures that you're fighting and slaying. So there's a lot of ways to farm a lot of the souls. But like I think I don't know how far I am in the game. I don't know how big this map is going to be. But I want to say I'm probably like maybe 10 or 15% in. And it's getting to a point where it is becoming more convenient to traverse, because like the beginning part can always kind of be a drag, because it takes a while to get through, because they want to teach you shit. But you find like this elevator, so it's like a giant cage, and that can take you between different floors, and that will cut a lot of that time out. So it's not too bad with like the backtracking and exploring and stuff. It still finds a way to incentivize you to keep going, which I think is pretty good. But yeah, like everything looks all like 8-bit. They really try to hone in on that. Like there's different like video filter options. You can make it look like it's coming off of a CRT TV, or it's coming off of like an old like arcade cabinet, or like different scan lines, different like anti-aliasing or whatever. Some of them don't make too much of a difference, because I know like the point of like going through a CRT or something, or like or trying to like soften the pixels to try to make the shading look like blend together more. But because it's like an 8-bit game, and the way they do their pixel art, in my opinion, it's only like 2 shades of a color per thing. So trying to like make that shading blend together isn't really there's not much there to like really blend together, in my opinion. But I think softening it does help a little bit. But regardless, I like that they have those options, and they do care about that kind of stuff. And from what I've seen, there's more features to unlock for visual reasons, like the character thumbnails. They're like very like anime inspired originally, but you can like you can unlock.
Apparently, they were drawn by a famous manga artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, they are good, but apparently you can unlock like more Western designed faces for the characters, and
weird.
They look like they also look good, like equally good, if not better, in my opinion, just for taste. But yeah, like compared to the demo, this is pretty good. I like how they handled like the beginning portion of it, because the demo just kind of dropped you into like a castle and it's like, all right, figure it out. It's like, okay, but this full version at least gives you a little introduction, a little easy area to get your bearings. Even after maybe if you didn't play for like a little bit, I could see where that'd be a good spot to like kind of rethink what, like, try to play the game and stuff, try to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I'm having a pretty good time with it. It's different from what I'm used to playing for as far as Metroidvanias go. I like that aspect of like switching between characters. I wish it was on the fly, kind of like Castlevania or what was it? One of the Bloodstained.
Yeah, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, or Castlevania 3.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just feeling a little spoiled from that.
Yeah.
But I get why they do it. So it is a challenge to try to like not get hit by anything and sharing a health between all the characters. And it's cool that like they're the keys to traverse other areas. It's not always about finding like a new weapon or a thing, but there are keys, of course, you have to find throughout the thing too, and you can choose what doors you want to open. Like there's a silver key, red key, blue key, and you can find them, and there's a bunch of red, blue, and silver doors everywhere, and they don't really tell you which ones you're supposed to open. Like one key doesn't open all of them. You just kind of like, you might find a blue key in one area, and then there's a blue door in the next room, but you might find a secret path behind a wall that takes you to a secret room, and there's a blue door there, and you can choose which one like you want to go to. So it's cool that they give you kind of like progress at your own pace. Like there's not really a wrong way per se on how to approach it. So like in that regard to Metroidvania, I think that's pretty different.
Yeah, you don't see many that kind of go outside of the core. I think Hollow Knight did that in some ways, but not, not a lot. Yeah, you mentioned there's a demo. I think the demo's out on all platforms. Would you recommend trying it before buying it?
I think
You said that the game does some things better than the demo did.
Right, yeah, like I think you could just go all in and just buy the game. I mean, demos don't hurt, but I think the full game does a better job of introducing what this game is than the demo. And it's like $20.
Yes,
that's not too bad of a price. I mean, if you want to wait for a sale, then like go for it. But if you like these types of games, if you like Metroidvanias, I think this is a safe bet.
Yeah, dude, I am down. This looks cool. I remember
and really good
this
music
a while back. Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, I haven't heard it yet, but
I was gonna say, it's just last thing, but yeah, like the music, obviously it changes in the areas, but the coolest part is how dynamic it is. Like if you, like, it sounds good either way. Like it's so cool. So like you have your like typical, picture like Castlevania type music, right? Like old NES stuff. But once you reach a room with a bonfire in it, the music changes to where it's more like calming, but it still keeps the same rhythm and pace. Like it's like they turn off the percussion and change like the lead instruments to like softer, more calming like sounds. I don't know, it's really neat how they switch it up and still like make it sound catchy in both ways.
yeah, I want to check this out. I think it looks cool. I really like the way there's a lot of games that borrow that old art style, but I think few of them pull it off in a way that looks and moves. This one looks like one of the ones that does it right.
Yeah.
It looks like traditionally NES style. Astalon Tears of the Earth. Out now. Speaking of old NES games, on the other side of the fence, there was a little game on the Master System called Phantasy Star that has grown up quite a bit. And Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is out now worldwide. I played a bit of it. Mark, you played a little bit of it. Matt
Sure did not.
stayed far, far away from this one. Mark, what's your experience been? Because I haven't talked to you about it. So you had some fun PC stuff.
Yeah, I had to, like, Xbox just couldn't find my hard drive, and neither could the Microsoft Store for some reason, and I went through all this, like, pointless troubleshooting, and ended up just resetting my PC just to install this 97 gig game, just to have the servers be turned off, and then I jumped into it later, though, and did start it up. I went through the character thing. I can't tell if it really is my same character from PSO2 or if it's just the looks of my character from PSO2 and that's it.
It should just be looks from what I get. So,
like the looks and the name.
Yeah, looks and the name. You get to carry over some very basic equipment stuff, but that's it. I never got to the point where like I could level up to become a Reaper? Was that the cool one in PSO2 they added?
I think so.
It was a class that let you use a scythe, which was rad. And I never leveled up to that point. But in New Genesis, it seems like there's still just the base classes that were there in core PSO2. Character's name comes across. Whatever you were last wearing should come across. But like,
yeah,
additional equipment, armor, all that stuff still locked behind the old game.
Yeah, and I had the my guy had the Sonic outfit on last.
Oh, did that come across?
It did, but I changed back to like my first outfit that I had.
Oh yeah.
I went through all the options to see what I could and could not pick. Like you could tell what was like New Genesis specific related like customization options.
Yeah.
Some of them I just couldn't do. I guess.
Yeah, I ran into that too. Were you able to put on Knuckles' Knuckles?
I didn't. If I still have that skin, I didn't try to equip it, but I did pick the fighter class, so I do have like some white gloves on, but they're not Knuckles specific. But all I did was
another week.
Yeah, like I did just a tutorial. And then I turned it off because I just wasn't like feeling it by the time I went to go play it, which sucks. But
no, so I mean, dude, that's kind of where I'm at after playing it for a couple of hours. Is I'm still just not feeling it, and I'm sad to say that, but maybe it's because they're making you go through the early tutorial stuff where it's literally like run to this spot, kill 3 of these things, run back and talk to this guy. He's going to tell you how leveling up works. Run over to this part of the ship, talk to this lady. She's going to tell you that you need to get this. Run back out to the field, kill 2 more of these things. Run back into the ship, talk to this guy. Run over to that guy. He's going to tell you how this system works. Then you have to run back out to the field. It's that over and over and over again.
So, yeah, they should have taken a page out of Phantasy Star Online 1's book where they kind of just drop you in and you get to choose the missions. And even the tutorial ones, because those are just optional things you can jump into, but you do get rewarded for doing them. And this just kind of like, you don't have an option to skip like, hey, are you a veteran player or are you a newcomer? Like, there should have been that. But yeah, it just kind of just made you go through, like, I just started skipping cutscenes. I was like, all right, just got to punch this thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, the game looks really beautiful. I think that, you know, the way they've not up-res, that's not the right thing, but like, you know, they've reimagined this world in a completely new, more modern graphical style, and I think it looks great. I think it moves great. You can glide, like you can double jump from the get and then just glide, which is awesome. And
I don't know if it's because, again, of past game transferring over stuff, but what weapon did you pick starting out?
Whatever the main sword is.
Okay. Did you have like 6 skills to choose from?
Once I got to it, yeah.
Yeah. So like, cause my gloves, I had like all that was filled out with what are they called? Photon arts or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa! You just had these from the start. Usually, you had to like unlock these, level them up, and then equip them to like where you want them. And you only started with like maybe 2. maybe 3, depending on what you have. But this gave me like a full arsenal of like techniques to do. I'm like, this is insane, and like I can tell these moves aren't like, these are all new animations, and like that was really cool.
Yeah, and I think that like the upgrades they've made are significant around the edges. The problem I have is the core of the game is still the core of the game that I got tired of playing last year.
Yeah,
That,
I feel like it's probably going to be like a very boring like 25% of the game, and mostly because of the setting. Like, it has like that weird like tropical island ish.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. Like it gave me like a Kingdom Hearts 1 or
yes,
Final Fantasy X beginning
yes,
kind of vibe. And it's like,
yes,
I get Phantasy Star kind of does that with their games in the beginning. It's usually like a, you know, jungle type biome at first, but like I don't know how long that's going to be for. You know, shit's going to go down to a point where like that gets ruined or something. I know it's going to be like a slog to get through that first part.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I put on a podcast and tried to just grind and get through as much of it as I could, and then I was like, I'm having more fun playing Monster Hunter. Like, I'm just gonna go back and do that. And again, like, to talk about like the repetitive nature of a game, but like Monster Hunter, I think, like you pointed out, Matt, like there's I forget which one of you said it now, but like there's planned repetition.
Yeah,
and then there's Mark for the
Yeah, like if there's like if you know what's coming, I think you'll have a better time with it, and if they handle it well. But
yeah, this like it's just like really again like
I feel if we were probably playing together or just like with other people, that might be the best way to go about it. Otherwise, it's probably not much of a point, sadly.
Yeah. So you do get to the point where you can pair up with people pretty easily, or pretty quickly rather. But I'm like,
it's a lot of hand-holding.
It is, and it's, you know, I don't know. I maybe I need to see what some of the later stuff looks like, and maybe that'll motivate me to get through this to get to that. But right now, I'm like hovering over the uninstall button, which is a shame.
So what is this? Is this a expansion? Is this a Final Fantasy 14-esque reboot? Is this a sequel?
It's
like a remaster remake. Like, what exactly?
It's a
is
sequel.
This? Okay.
Yeah, it's like a sequel with like a hint of Realm Reborn in there.
Realm Reborn. That was the thing I couldn't remember.
The thing that's interesting is after you get through the initial tutorial bit, because if you previously had PSO2 installed, you will go to boot it and it boots into New Genesis. Like, it is one installer. It forces you into New Genesis with your character. Then, after you get through the first little bit, you can choose, do you want to open this character in New Genesis or vanilla PSO2? And you can jump between either one. You have to obviously like back out to the menu and choose a ship and whatever, but like, yeah, it's, there's definitely some things they've improved on, you know, like, I think combat feels a lot better than it did in the old game.
It looks really good.
It looks great. Movement, traversal is like a massive upgrade that I think it's fun to move around in that world and fly and whatever, but the like limitations of like, okay, ship 1 is still crowded and I can't just jump to ship 3 because that's open because my character is in ship 1 and I can't just move that character without spending money to move that character. Like, stuff like that still sucks about this. The grindy nature of a lot of these things still suck early on.
I think that's just a sad staple of MMOs now. Like,
sure,
a ship is a server, and you have to like stay on that, and unless you have to like pay money to transfer. And it's like, that's stupid. You should just be able to go to anything you want.
Yeah. So I don't know. I might poke at it, but like every time I've sat down in the last like 24 or 48 hours to be like, I'll play a little bit, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn on Monster Hunter and The Wire and just do that instead.
Yeah. MMOs are hard to really be invested in these days.
It's time, you know what I mean? It's like, how do I want to spend my time? And is it doing this? And the answer is probably not. That said, dude, like a lot of the stuff, like when Mark and I got into some of the weird, cool, gigantic events and like battles and stuff, like that ruled. The live concerts, like there's nothing like watching Hatsune Miku perform in the lobby of Phantasy Star Online 2. and then taking that whole party and going out to fight some giant mech made out of a classic Tokyo castle or Osaka-looking castle. But like the run here, kill 2 owls, collect meat, run back. Like I'm so over that.
Yeah.
It's, it reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake, just running in and, hey, go stop these rats from attacking. How much of that is in Final Fantasy VII Remake 358/2, Matt?
It's Final Fantasy VII Remake episode intermission, but enter is in all caps and the rest is lowercase. Anyway, there's not a lot of that. This is different. So rewind. I'm gonna take it back here a little bit. This is, of course,
You want to talk about Phantasy Star Online 2 again?
No.
Oh.
Although with you saying the combat and traversal's a little bit better, I'm intrigued again. I'm not committing, but I'm intrigued at least. No. So this is the DLC mission for Final Fantasy VII. This is kind of new. So in terms of Final Fantasy VII, so Yuffie is a character. She is a Wutai ninja. But this takes place events-wise before your party runs into her in original 7. So this is kind of new content. So yeah, you're very right from the start. She introduces herself in a very she's very wants to be an adult, but is not aged to be an adult yet. So she's kind of got that whole don't treat me like a kid, but she is a kid the way she acts attitude. So you're kind of introduced to that very early on, and you realize your mission is to go into the Shinra headquarters and steal what is the ultimate materia. One, to kind of get back at Shinra because of all them suppressing the Wutai and Avalanche and all that. But 2, because she's a materia collector, she fancies herself as one of the best ones, if not the best one. So, of course, if there's an ultimate materia to be had, she wants it. Very early on, you're paired up with Sonon, who is a completely original character to Final Fantasy VII. I'm not too familiar with his background. You're starting to get a little bit of that, and I think that's going to kind of come into play later on. But you do learn very early on that he is actually trained under Yuffie's father. So he has kind of a similar training to what Yuffie has as far as being like a ninja. But I don't believe he's Wutai. I believe he's from another kind of village or tribe or something. So yeah, you're kind of meet very early on, right in the Sector 7 slums. And this is very cool, very early on. This is a completely new scene, but it's in terms of timeline, this pretty much takes place right after Cloud falls to where Aerith is. Because you see Tifa and Barrett come back from that mission and break the news to Jesse and Wedge about how Cloud fell and they think he's going to be all right. And then there's a mention of Don Corneo wanting to is after Barrett. And that's kind of where you see Tifa kind of pique her interest in I'm going to go investigate. So you kind of see how she ends up a little bit into the Wall Market area where, of course, one of the more famous sections of Final Fantasy VII takes place. So that's kind of the starting ground right there. I haven't seen anything with the spirits. I've seen a couple of the what were they called? Not the spirits themselves, but the dudes walking that were very silent and just kind of mumbled Genova or Reunion or anything like that. You've seen a couple of them wandering around. So I think that's setting up for what kind of happens Final Fantasy VII Remake Endgame. But yeah, so that's kind of setting the scene there. One of the best parts of Final Fantasy VII Remake was, of course, its combat. I think that was the main reason why I won our Game of the Year last year. They threw a twist into it this time. And at first, pretty much just like Final Fantasy VII Remake, when I played that demo, I wasn't into it. But as I've played it and I've kind of wrapped my head around the change, I think I've come to like it a lot. And I actually think I like the change. I don't think I like it as much as regular Remake, but it's still very good. So this game stays very true to who your playable characters are from the original game. That means you actually don't play as Sonon in battle. You only play as Yuffie. Yuffie as a character herself, right away, is versatile. She can be range or combat, right up close and personal, without a change of her weapon. Unlike Barrett had the one Wrecking Ball fist that would make him an upper range character, but he will lose his ranged attacks, his gun. She is the opposite. She has both at her disposal because of her boomerang-like weapon. You can hit triangle and throw the weapon at someone. You can mash square off of that to do attacks, or you can let it idly do whatever as you're running around dodging. You can also get up close and personal with the boomerang in your hand, mash square right up close, or you can kind of step back a little bit and hold in the square as she does like this little mini ranged attack. But where the difference is because Sonon's technically in your party, but you can't control him. So he's kind of idling, doing his own thing, and building his ATB bar at his own pace. However, if he gets an ATB bar, you hit R2, you can issue his command. If he has magic, you can do his magic. If he has his abilities, he can do his abilities. L2 introduces the new mechanic. Because you can't control him, you have to do something, right? They let you synergize. So when you synergize, if you're mashing square, kind of both characters are mashing square at the same time. And that kind of goes to abilities as well. So Yuffie has a couple abilities that you can synergize with. If Sonon and Yuffie both have one ATB bar, you can synergize an ability that Yuffie has, and they'll kind of, it's like a little mini cutscene, the little cinematic that plays out, where they kind of combine for a unique type of that move that does a little bit, probably a lot more damage than just the regular Yuffie ability does. So there is a unique combination of synergizing and just letting Sonon do his thing, because when you synergize, Sonon does not build his ATB bar. So you have to be very selective when you do it. You can deal real damage, so I've kind of gotten to the thing of like, all right, synergize for the big hit, or synergize when the enemy is staggered, and we can just wail on the person. And then after their stagger is complete, back off, let him do his thing, or whatever. I was not a fan at first of not controlling Sonon and the synergize thing. But as I said, as I kind of wrapped my head around it, and all it really took was like that first boss fight to kind of like make me kind of learn it and get the ropes and everything. I kind of do like the little twist on this. Like I said, it's different, but it's a good different. So at least they got a new mechanic to kind of play with. It's not completely the same, just a new story or whatever. It is a brand new little thing. But yeah, that's pretty much like the main difference in this in terms of playing this. I will say this is the PS5 exclusive DLC. Game looks amazing. All the little detail of Yuffie's shirt, or like the texture of her shirt and Sonon and everything like that. I am happy to report, I don't think I've noticed 5 Stan Lees in a cinematic.
That was my question, man. That was exactly where I was headed. I was like, look, I appreciate the detail in her shirt. Combat sounds great. How many Stan Lees we got?
I ran around the Sector 7 slums a little, because it's kind of like the first place they put you. Right where their bar is. I always mix up those numbers. I think wherever the Avalanche bar is, that's the first kind of hub area you're in. So I was running around. I saw enough unique looking things where at least it wasn't 2 people right next to each other. I'm sure there were the same characters at some point, but at least they're far enough away where I kind of, my memory of them kind of got lost. But yeah, it's kind of cool running around at that area and seeing all the characters. Like, while Barrett and Tifa are still coming back from that mission, like, you can actually go and interact with Jessie for a Fort Condor minigame, which I'll get to that in a second. But, like, you can talk to her, and she's obviously bummed because she sprained her ankle or something and couldn't go out on that mission. So she was, like, irritable when you approached her. When that scene came, the game stayed true to his original timeline. Yuffie did not interact with Barrett or Tifa. She was just kind of like hiding in the background, watching that interaction take place. So I'm curious to see how they navigate this and weave the story throughout the rest of it. There's been many mentions of the Merc and Cloud, but not by his name Cloud, which I kind of find pretty funny, besides Barrett and Tifa directly saying his name. And there's like there's weird callbacks to the game, like Roach, the dude from the bike boss fight that was like a very
redheaded dude or whatever.
Yeah, the guy was very charismatic on the bike battle. That ended up being like a 1-on-1 with him and Cloud. Right?
More like a one and done. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come back up at all, did he?
No, he got back up. I thought it was just 1-on-1 Cloud versus him. Though it was one of those types of boss fights.
I just mean like we never saw him again.
Correct. Well, he makes an appearance here, and he's saying he's looking for Cloud. But like once again, he's another Fort Condor opponent that you can walk into. But he mentions like, oh, he's kind of being around, looking out for Cloud, seeing if he can find him again. And he was very, he stayed in this character, very charismatic. Like the motel owner, like she came around at one point and was talking about the Merc and how like if you're looking for his love, that's not the person. He's a looker, but he has nothing emotionally. So there's a lot of little mini callbacks to the characters that are original to Remake. As well as just the regular main characters, but yeah, I do have to talk about this Fort Condor minigame because I think it's as good as Gwent. We'll throw it out there. In terms of a side mission minigame, it is very good. I never played a lot of the Fort Condor game in Original 7. I don't remember a lot of it because my playthroughs never really get past Midgar, or if they do, they're just past Midgar, and Fort Condor is a little bit further away. I remember you had to deploy tanks and you worked your way up or whatever. Well, in this, instead of like working towards instead of like it being like an actual like thing to do, it's like set on like a board, and it's kind of it plays out like a board game in terms of the Final Fantasy VII's world. But it's a thing where you have 3 bases, and it's divided. It's like 2 sides of the board. There's 3 bases on each one, and you have to let your ATB bar fill, and then you need to deploy these units. And the units you can customize like what units you have to deploy for different instances. There's a range, there's a defense, and there's an attack. And it's like a rock, paper, scissors thing between the 3 of them for strengths and weaknesses. But it's just a matter of kind of coordinating against like your opponent's strengths with your units and kind of timing. And then like you can have a different type of board. So the actual physical layout of these games does not change, but you can get a different type of board that gives you new materia for magic in the middle of the game, or how fast your ATB bar fills, or the amount of ATB you can store in case you want to store it for a big like enemy, like a big type of unit, like one that needs 7 ATB bars instead of only 3 or something like that. So you kind of can strategize with those boards, and of course you kind of collect them out in the world as you're exploring every little nook and cranny. But yeah, no, it's tough. I think it plays similar to the 7 game, of course, but it's a little bit of a twist because you have units kind of coming back your way. Like I said, I don't remember a lot of that, but I remember a little bit of it, and I think this is somewhat similar, and I think it's a lot of fun, and so much fun that I cleared the whole minigame out, at least in the first chapter. I don't know if there's more going forward or not, but yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that, and that was the bulk of my first 2 hours, was playing all the people, because you had to do it by ranks. Like you had to play the rank 1 people, then the rank 2 people, and then the rank 3 people, and that's how I ran into a lot of these callbacks. Like that's how I ran into Roach, that's how I ran into Jesse, that's how I ran into Wedge. The Grandmaster of the of the area is the Shinra boy. So like you see him again, he's got new summons for you to go after. There's a collectible little game that about Happy Turtle or something like that. I'm not sure if that's a callback to 7 or not. From what I remember, it probably is, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, that is pretty. It's all a pretty good experience. I'm about 5-6 hours in. I will say the very beginning, like the first kind of main mission you go through, is very bizarre in terms of theme. There's like jazzy music. The battles will continue to have the jazzy music. It was like very lighthearted and upbeat, but you were battling Shinra people. Like so, it was very conflicting on what was going on with the themes. However, the second chapter, we're back to our traditional battle music, or at least a play off of it. So it kind of I guess it got serious when it needed to get serious. But for the first 3 hours, I was like, this is not like the traditional music I'm used to associating Final Fantasy VII with at all. So yeah, it ends up working out in the end, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's good to be back in this world. I did not play any of the main game, but yeah, the game looks stunning on PS5. I have not seen any frame dips or anything weird like that. It is weird hitting load game and blinking of an eye, I'm back in the map. That is very much appreciated. And I don't know how they're going to do it in the main game. I'm very curious, but there's little parts where like Cloud used to like slide through and it would take a few seconds and it was very obviously loading like the next area without a loading screen. They're here, but they're very like, I'm not navigating through the wall for 6 seconds. I'm like going under a fence. I'm jumping a platform. I am.
Oh, that's really cool.
It is like all
those,
right.
Yeah, because those like slow camera turns and
yeah,
you could really see them dragging it out.
So I don't know how they're handling the assets. They're all loaded there, or if it's just loading that quickly. But there's no like weird pans. It's just kind of happening. So it's not saving you much time in a day because what those Cloud slide through things for like 5 seconds at the most. But still, it's nice not to have to worry about them. At least not right now. But yeah, I went through most of that first area. I'm in Shinra headquarters with familiar, not completely familiar areas, but familiar enough. Yeah, and there's been none of that, so that's been quite nice. Yeah, but I'm at 5 hours in, but I don't know what to expect. I don't know if this is going to end in a few hours here. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be about 10 or 15 more hours. I don't know. I mean, 5 hours in, you know, Cloud, the game starts with Cloud being gone because of the drop, but like 5 hours, my characters just found out that Shinra is planning to drop the plate. It hasn't even happened yet. It just found out that it's going to happen. So, like, I don't know how far they're going to go with the continuity and stuff, and if it goes all the way to the very end of the game, or if it kind of stops after the plate drops. I'm not sure. So yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun. I'm glad this came out. Takes a little bit getting used to with the battle because you don't control Sonon like you did with the rest of the party in regular 7. But yeah, no, I totally recommend this. If you have a PS5, I mean, I would not buy a PS5 for this, obviously. But yeah, if you have a PS5 and you like 7 Remake at all, I think this is a good purchase. Oh, and shout out to the whole save transfer stuff. All right, so
shout out to it. You liked it.
No,
you want to give it props.
There's one thing I will give PlayStation props for. They at least won't let you repurchase Intergrade. They will mark the purchasable things as unavailable until you hit the digital upgrade button. Once you hit the digital upgrade button, Intergrade still is unavailable, or Core Intergrade Deluxe Edition still unavailable, but you can then purchase the DLC. So they at least do that. The save data thing is a fucking... I guess if you have one save, it's not that big of a deal. It's still dumb to have to launch regular 7 for PS4, go to the save data, upload it, and then go to PS5 version and download it. Like, that's fine, but if you have multiple saves for whatever reason, you have to do that one at a time. You can't upload multiple saves. So, my thing, I mean, I filled my list just in case I had to go back for something. I don't know why I did it. I mean... But I was ready and prepared to just bring all those saves over, because why not? But no, I'm not going back and forth like 15 times to upload all those saves. So I just took my latest one. It should be fine. But the good news is, not like a one and done thing. I could always go back and grab those saves. But I guess the payoff for all of it is when you bring that save over, the trophies start dinging again.
That's a good feeling. That's always a good
So
feeling.
each chapter kept dinging. All the little side mission things that I did from before started dinging. So the sad part is I won't be able to take my save back to the PS4 version for a platinum if I do decide to complete the platinum with PS5. So I can't. But the good news is if you got a platinum on PS4, get yourself a free platinum with PS5.
And then what's the point of playing it again?
Uh,
Well, so would you do you feel like you're going to go back through the main game after you get through this DLC?
I think I want to. I just don't know what exactly I want to do. I guess maybe that's the time to look up my platinum, like a platinum guide. But I never played through it on the hard difficulty. So I feel like that's the next logical step. I don't know how far I'll get into it because there's other stuff I want to play. Like, I'd even buy Ratchet and Clank, and I definitely want to play through that, especially with all the good buzz it's been getting.
Yeah.
And Shin Megami Tensei and whatever else I get into on the PC side. But yeah, I at least want to touch it. I just want to see some of the changes. 60 frames is amazing. Yeah, so I want to experience at least a little bit of that going back.
Yeah, through the
7.
main.
Also, I may have read somewhere that they may have changed the ending just a smidge
What?
at 7.
They fixed the door.
Well, that's not an ending. That's
Oh.
the beginning. No, they may. Remember what I said about them? I don't know anything about it. I just heard they may have changed it. That's a may. But remember what I said about like 100% completion? They might have teased the next thing. I'm still following that path. I don't know that has anything to do with it. I've heard
That would be a very Nomura thing to do, though.
but I might chase it. Who knows? So yeah,
Interesting.
this is good stuff. It's good to be back in this world.
I've got another question for you guys.
Oh boy.
Get ready for this one. What is the don't stop believing of video games?
Ah, fuck. Come on. Do you mean this in a good way that you like Don't Stop Believing, or...
That
This
is
is up to you, my friend.
That is overplay. It's a good
I
song,
hate
but
it.
overplayed. That's my opinion of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, but man, yeah, the emphasis on the overplayed.
So what is the video game equivalent of don't stop believing?
Fortnite.
I feel like it'd be something more classic.
What's more classic than Fortnite Survive?
True. Like Mario Kart, maybe. But I like Mario Kart. That's the
I
difference.
know. I was going to say. I think.
Yeah, but do you hate don't stop believing?
Yes.
Oh, you hate it at this point. Is that just because your neighbor plays it every morning, or?
No, that's because every bar plays it, and
I know.
that and Sweet Caroline. But if I had to choose, I would rather listen to Don't Stop Believin' over Sweet Caroline.
Same.
But Journey's Separate Ways is my favorite.
Yeah, that is the best one.
Tron Legacy, what's up? But but like I don't know, but like when everyone hears it, they usually enjoy it, sing along with it. I feel like Mario Kart, don't know many people that hate it, but they know it for sure, and they know
And it
how
has
to play
wide
it.
appeal.
Yeah, like so, like on that front, like that sort of, I feel like the similarities can line up.
I think the wide appeal part of it is important here because I mean you might not listen to classic rock. I say that in the most air quotes way I can,
But you know what?
I think a lot of people know that Journey song.
But more specifically, it's going to be the first Mario Kart. It's going to be Super Nintendo. Yeah, Don't Stop Believing it's going to be the Super Nintendo one.
Oh,
maybe 64.
I would go more to 64.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I know a different generation here than you all by a few years, but I just feel like people
Yeah,
in
I think-
college and are more
No, you're right.
associated and play the 64 one than the SNES
Yeah.
one, and I own the SNES one.
That's very true because the whole multiplayer aspect of it, going to 4-player, and 64 was like blowing up between that and GoldenEye. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, Mario Kart 64 then. Double Dash is separate ways.
What, the underrated?
Just the better one.
The underrated should be better, but it's not. Also, cause Baby Park's in it.
And
Best
you're
track
happy that
ever.
it hasn't been ruined by overplay?
What? Separate Ways has never played.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the
know what?
positive in that side. Like it's not overplayed, therefore
like,
you.
Even if it was overplayed, I think I would still enjoy it.
I
Just
think it's-
because of like the tone of it. Like Don't Stop Believin' sounds like the biggest climax song in a musical. So it has like that level of cheese to it to me. And I
Sure.
just can't get over that like it's too cheesy for me
I don't
to
think
enjoy.
it's the overplay. Like, I wish it was overplayed. I wish people associated that song with Journey more so than Don't Stop Believing. Much like I want them to recognize Double Dash as the pinnacle of Mario Kart.
Just like, even though, and similar note, Bohemian Rhapsody, I wish Queen was more known for Princess of the Universe.
Yeah. Or I really like The Show Must Go On. That one doesn't get enough rotation.
I have to hear it. I'm bad with names. I probably have heard it, but
So what we just agreed on here is that Baby Park is the best track in all of Mario Kart. That answers the question, right?
Steve Perry loves Baby Park. That's
You know
what I
what?
understand.
I don't like. I don't hate Baby Park. I'm okay with
You
like
can't,
the
because
antics
it's the
of
best
that.
track.
It's a fine.
But I like a lot of tracks. But I also enjoy Baby Park.
The
I
only
don't know if I
acceptable
can make it number
answer
one.
is a Rainbow Road.
Really?
Because
Okay.
they're just brutally difficult and everyone gets pissed off at them.
Do you think Mario Kart and not something like a Bejeweled?
That's a good answer.
I don't know if I could put Journey under something that casual. I mean, I can now, but I think back then, I don't. Man,
You see, I don't think it's the back then thing. I
Shit.
think you're stressing too much on the back then. I think now, everyone knows that song.
I just feel like Journey is, it's a classic. I guess they're kind of timeless, right? If it's shit's being overplayed, but
So
I
maybe
think
it's those,
Mario Kart is
find
more
the
timeless
difference-
than Bejeweled.
Do you think it's maybe the spot the difference between two naked ladies on a touchscreen thing in a bar? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but like, I don't know.
Maybe that's
about
the game.
that. It's like if I was like if I just straight up just hated Journey, I probably would make more of those comparisons. But I feel like it deserves a little respect just for who they are.
Is it Tetris? See, but Tetris isn't overplayed.
Right. Like Tetris, I don't get sick of. Mario Kart, I think after a while you could get sick of. Mario Kart is like good for like a good night with your friends, but like if you want to do it day after day, there might be some blood.
Well, if you play
Sure.
Baby Park on repeat, you can play it endlessly.
You play Baby Park for like a minute, you're like, all right, I'm fucking done. I hate Mario.
Dude,
Kart.
I mean, you know that I used to play Baby Park 3 hours straight with my friends, right? Growing up, like that was a thing we did.
That's
I love that though. That like you can do that. You know
that
what I
you
mean?
hate
Like,
yourself that much.
No, not a hate, but I love myself and love having fun so much that I elected to ignore the rest of the fucking package and play Baby Park. Although DK Mountain, that's a good track too.
Yeah.
The downhill.
Any ice levels, I'm not really a fan of.
Oh, that's not ice.
I know. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
But now, just talking about maps. Yeah, any of those, not really a fan of.
Well, I appreciate that we've cut news from this show, yet still have a over 2 hour show.
We still got stuff
We've got
left.
more to talk about. Talk to me about Chivalry 2. Jeff Keighley's Chivalry 2 out now.
Yeah, Yeah, so this was not planned. Actually, full disclosure, the plan was a Battlefield Fortnite until we hopped on, and the Prime Gaming free thing has made the servers very full and long waits, and other things with DLC and owning it and not owning it is really weird as well. So you should check your version of that game, see what's up. Anyway, what was supposed to be a Battlefield Fortnite with a buddy of mine, Nick, who I've talked about on the podcast before, turned into me getting into Discord and him finishing up a Chivalry game, and I said, is it worth it? He said yes. So I bought it, downloaded it, and then we proceeded to have about 3 hours of probably the most fun I've had in a video game in a while, probably this year. Just with dumb physics, laughs, that kind of stuff. And yeah, dude, this game is one. You just all you have to do is just mash the war cry button a lot. Just mash that. That's pretty much the game in a nutshell right there. But besides that, for real though, well, one, just to set the setting here, it's Chivalry. It's a medieval game, swords, shields, archery, that kind of stuff. Is online multiplayer only. I think there's free for all modes, 64 player modes, and 40 player modes if I remember correctly. They're either objective or team deathmatch based games from what I've seen. The objective ones are very Overwatch, like move the payload, destroy this objective, that kind of stuff. It goes in phases. But yeah, no, it's just all out medieval warfare. Not just to, I know that's the subtitle of the first one, but yeah, no, you just go running in with a sword and swing away. You hit what I changed to C to caps lock button, I think, or left alt, I forgot. But yeah, the war cry, just mash war cry and raise that mouse fist in the air while you're doing it, and you're gonna have yourself a fun time. On top of the fun time, there is a sophisticated battling system that I highly recommend. Do not skip the tutorial at all. I did not. I mean, I didn't plan on skipping it, but like if you are that person, like I don't need to. No, play it. You're gonna need it. There is different types of swings. There is a whole thing of like kind of moving your field of view while swinging, so that way you hit sooner than later. If you swing and hit someone before they hit you, you interrupt them. So like timing is a big part of it. Countering, reposting, like all this stuff is, and all these mechanics are very not complicated, but like hard to master. So there is a lot to learn. It's easy enough. I mean, a lot of it is just like kind of learning how to block and kind of counter off your blocking and learning timing windows and things like that. But like it is going to take a while to master. And I think that's part of the fun with this is like one just the silliness and the goofiness of the physics, getting your arm chopped off, chopping off people's heads, like that stuff. It's a lot of fun. But I think there's like the actual learning how to play this game as a skill and mastering it, I think is another level of fun and entertainment to be had. And man, like I can't tell you, like it is satisfying when you kind of get into like a 1v2 situation and you somehow come out on top because you did your countering and your blocking perfectly. It's a lot of fun. It is a class-based game. There's 4 classes. I think you level each of them up to get some different traits or whatever. One of them is an archer, so you'll kind of upgrade the archer and get some abilities there. But the other 3 give you different like weapon types, and the weapon types, of course, like allow for a bigger swing range, speed, that kind of stuff. I think the different classes give you different armor on top of your regular 100 health bar. And then there's a special ability where like you can throw bandages at people. There's one that allows you to blow a horn, and it's like an AoE heal effect. And then there's another one that gives you like an oil like thing to throw at like a mini grenade to set people on fire, which is a lot of fun. I love killing people, but I almost laugh as hard when I accidentally kill my own person from swinging. I think the fact that friendly fire is on in this game is also hilarious. Frustrating at times, but also hilarious. But no, I think this is a good fun. It's exclusive to Epic. It's $40, but if you buy it right now and you didn't use that Epic coupon, you can get it for $30, which is what I did. And dude, just in the 3 hours I played last night, worth every penny.
I'm about to pull the trigger.
So good. It's so good. I never played the first one or Mordhau, so this is my first introduction to it. So it might be like a tired thing. You can play those a lot. So I don't know, but I had a lot of fun with this.
Mordhau's a little more like one-on-one-ish. Like, it's definitely smaller scale, but and like a little more meticulous with the combat. For Chivalry 2, because I think it was in 1 if I remember correctly. Do you have slashes as well as stabs with the sword?
Yes, there are slashes. You can hold a key. I actually mapped it to a button to slash the other way. There's a stab, and then there's the overhead swing.
Yeah.
And then of course you can feint those, so you can start the slash, but then go into a stab for for dodging reasons. Because dodging, you have to kind of be exact with where you put your reticule. It's not just kind of being in front and holding the block button. Like, you have to like block where the swing's coming from. So there's a lot of strategy with like I said, it is a very deep system. I'm not going to get into all of it here, but they're all the different.
Do they still have the quarterstaff?
Which one's the quarterstaff? I'm going to say probably yes.
I mean, just a fucking bow staff, like just like a stick. Can you still use that as a weapon?
I think so. I want to. That's one of those things. Like, there's some weapons you can pick up like right at the start of your base. I haven't seen a class that uses it, but I've definitely seen pike-like things. Around. So I think you
like
up.
The first game, those were so OP. Just how you could just like block and just like parry things so quickly and just doing all this blunt damage, and it's just like and you were so fast with it. That was the thing. Like, you could just beat someone to death in like a second.
But I think this game, like, it's best. It's at its best when you're like, there's the dumb moment. It's almost why I play Warzone. Warzone is the same thing over and over again, but you just run into these bizarre moments every once in a while, and you're like, wow, like, you can only see this in this game. Great example. They're the large bow and arrow things, like not a trebuchet. What are they called?
Is it a ballista?
A ballista. Yes. Yeah. I am defending on top of this thing because there's the final part of defending, and we have the last stand. But there is a ballista on the opposing side that's on top. I am fighting someone, and all of a sudden I just hear a thump, and this dude I'm fighting is dropped right in front of me with a big fucking his arrow sticking out of him, and he was killed by his own teammate trying to shoot me. But it's just the moments like that where then you look back up and you see what's going on and you start running because you know you're next. It's just that game is filled with those moments, and it's funny, fun, and also very technical for to master. And I think that's underrated with a game like this.
Do you feel like it's like multiplayer is integral to this, or could you see yourself playing it alone?
I could see me getting in a little bit on my own, because there is like, I don't think you can. Well, you level up your classes to get maybe not better gear, but different gear that might suit your playstyle a little bit more. But there's also gold to be obtained. It's kind of like a Call of Duty ranking up system, where you level up, you unlock things, and then you earn like a currency as gold in this, and you can use that gold to buy different what's the word? Colors, style, looking. All of it's just for looks. But yeah, you customizable. Why can't I think of the word? Anyway. Yeah, skins. Skins, that's the word. You can get cool new knife skins. For real, though. Yeah, so there's a reason to play offline if you're looking to play. I don't see me playing much of it by myself, but I actually have a few friends that picked this up, so I might be playing this a lot here in the next couple weeks. Also, Mark gets
Phasmophobia, also better with friends, and just got a big update that Mark's been playing. You want to bring us home with Phasmophobia?
Yeah, well, the update is for the beta version, which is always unstable. But yeah, they added a new house. It is definitely a smaller house, but the big thing this time is there isn't any closets to hide in or lockers. That was usually a thing with most of these, where like if a hunt was happening, you could go into a closet or a locker, hold the door shut, and you're kind of good for the most part. ghosts could open those doors still, but your chances of being safe are still pretty high up. So to work around that, they've made it to where you're not as invulnerable when hiding in those, and they just straight up took them out in this new house. There are still rooms you can hide in. They want you to like get used to like hiding behind furniture. So like as long as you break the line of sight, you're kind of okay for the most part, and don't make any noise for that minute that they're hunting you down. So it was neat to try to like, it kind of put you on your toes to be a little creative when it comes to hiding and see what worked. So I'm like hiding in corners, hiding behind fridges and like totes of bins and whatnot, and trying to hide behind walls that don't have doors, hoping they don't like come in there. And they added two new types of ghosts to deal with. One is called a yokai, and the other one's called a hantu. Now none of these have like a specific like look to them, because they can use any like enemy character model. It's all about like the type of clues to look for, at what determines it, and like kind of how they react. But like finding those was a little higher because they're new and for testing reasons, so they're like 3 times more likely to be the thing that's in the house versus all the rest of them. But so like there was a lot of that stuff to try out. It was pretty cool, but the trade-off is you don't know what is exactly going to work or not. We had an issue trying to find a ghost where one of the clues, it could have been like one of 3, but we weren't getting any of these. Like we were trying everything we could to get the third clue. But sometimes the game likes to be stubborn with showing off things. Like maybe you're putting down a video camera and, you look through the night vision and you try to find ghost orbs. That could help you determine what it could be. But sometimes those ghost orbs don't show up. Like it could take like a good 20 minutes maybe, and then all of a sudden it just pops up. So we decided to do a thing. It was 3 of us playing at this time, where we each had 2 out of 3 clues, but the possibilities for the third clue was like a couple of them. So we each just picked one, and then you go to close the truck and leave, and that's how you'll find out if you were right or not. And if you were right, you obviously get the bigger payout. And I got it right, and the third clue was freezing temperatures. Now we have a thermometer, you can check if it's a cold room, but if it's freezing temperatures, you see your breath. And not once was there a room that was cold enough to where you could see your breath, but somehow it was that ghost. And I was like, okay, so this is just a beta bug, like it's just, that comes with it. But I said at the top of the episode, I got spooked. I actually jumped. I actually screamed a little bit. And it was for the dumbest reason, and it's permanently on the internet now. Because my friend was streaming and somebody made a clip of it. And it was so funny. It was like it kind of looked like the girl from The Ring, but instead of just like a gown, she has like polka dot like one like almost like a onesie, like pajamas, like shirt and pants. But you can't see her face. It's just all hair. I did a joke where like I was pretending I was being possessed, but I forgot that like there was a camera set up in front of the door. So like I'm crouched behind this wall, waiting for my friend to come back in, and she never does. And the whole time you can just see me crouching behind a wall on this camera. You can just see me sitting there. And as I'm like going around the corner just to walk around, I'm still crouched walking around a corner. And at the same time, the ghost comes out from a corner and walks towards me. And we run into each other. So she's like standing above me. And like, I'm like 2 feet tall, whatever, at this point. Because, crouch, sneak mode.
And you're in VR, so you're physically crouching too?
I'm not in VR this time.
Oh, okay.
But I think it would have been much worse probably. But like I peeked the mic, and when I screamed out, I was just like, oh my god, and like I like quickly still crouch mode, go back around the corner I came from. It was such like a Tom and Jerry moment. It caught me off guard because I was trying to scare my friend, but because of that I got scared, and it was just, man,
I love that.
It got me good.
Well, now I want to get the clip and re-edit it with Tom and Jerry, like.
Well, I'll send the link because the clip has been spammed like so many times throughout the night. They just kept rewatching it. I was like, this might be the only time you'll see me jump because I don't do it often. But
It's pretty good.
Welcome to my world. Fuck you.
But you know what? but I'm glad I'm still playing this game, even though like you get the gist of the game within like an hour of playing it, and like it could feel old, but because of playing with friends and just randomness ensues every time. I'm glad that these updates still bring a little more to it every time, even if it's something little. Like it changes the game drastically on how you play it and how you approach things.
Well, yeah, I mean, not unlike when I was talking about Monster Hunter earlier, but like there's something about designing for repetition and repeat playthroughs that allows you to have like emergent gameplay and new stories that come out of each time you return to something. So you could do the same ghost hunt over and over again, but the combination of who you're playing with and the things you bring in and the random encounter of where the ghost spawns, like all that stuff leaves enough to be new each time.
Exactly.
I was going to ask, you've said in the past this is not like it's playable, but not the best solo experience. Does a smaller map make that easier and more enjoyable, or still the same frustrations?
The smaller map would probably be a little more tolerable, but you're still going to be doing a lot of treading back and forth to pick up items. So if you don't care about that, you might be okay. It definitely is spookier by yourself. Like even with me, like if I did like just the tutorial, which is single player, and you don't die, like the ghost is safe. Like it won't hurt you, but you still have to figure it out. Just the atmosphere alone and how they keep changing, I can still kind of spook you out a little bit. But yeah, I definitely much prefer this with people.
That's a show. I was going to say this is episode 200 something, but it is a couple hundred after that, turns out. Yeah. Stay tuned for more on E3 and Summer Game Fest, and I think as Mark has aptly named it, Keighley 3.
Yep.
Which I appreciate. Yeah, we might have a little, recap episode in between now and 406, but otherwise we'll be back Mark and I will be back next week for 406, while Matt goes and hangs out to play Shin Megami Tensei 3 on an airplane. And yeah, until then, and or between now and then, what are you guys going to get into in the next week?
So probably the next time I come back around, I will have things to talk about with Ratchet and Clank. I don't see me playing it this week though. I see Chivalry 2 is sticking around for a bit. Also, the Battlefield itch is alive and well. So I'll probably be back in Battlefield 4 by the time the next time rolls around. But I'm hoping to have a decent chunk of Shin Megami Tensei done, as well as, of course, the Final Fantasy VII. Mission intermission. Or
yeah,
yes,
episode intermission.
That's it. I was gonna say it wasn't double mission, although I could see it being double mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I not too sure again. I mean, Chivalry is very, very tempting. I may pull the trigger on that one just to try it out and get a taste, because it's been a while and I don't play many multiplayer games, but like that's one of the few that I never hated. And you know what? I know this is before Nintendo, but they might drop something I might want to try if they do a shadow drop. That's
what I'm kind of hoping, that we get something like that out of Nintendo, or maybe we already got one from Microsoft.
Yeah.
But I think some stuff like that is bound to happen. And yeah, and I think also, like I mentioned when we talked about Splatoon 2 earlier, like the addition, or not the addition, but the showcase of Nintendo properties often does a lot to get me excited about things. So, I mean, seeing Halo Infinite, all that stuff, like I might end up back in the world. Who knows? Like all that kind of stuff just kind of comes out of nowhere.
We're playing Starfield when a shadow drops, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't think of another game besides Starfield that I'm wildly curious about and have zero intention of ever playing in my entire life. Because it's, yeah.
It could
But
be
no,
the Mass
definitely
Effect
more.
killer. It could. It won't, but it could.
Again, go for it. I am done with Bethesda games. I'm good. I got burned too many times. I just don't. They're not for me. But I will be playing more Monster Hunter this week. I still don't know about PSO2, man. I really want to get into it, but I just feel like it's gonna.
It's not the time.
It's yeah. I might scrub through some videos of it and see if I find anything later game that looks exciting and maybe do that. But I don't know. Hopefully, we're playing something Metroid related by the time we do next episode. So, yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us. If you want to write in with your own answers to any of our questions from the week, podcast@thefreecheese.com is where you can do that. You can follow everybody on Twitter. The Free Cheese is at SomeFreeCheese. Matt is at MattyX131. Mark at Og_mental. That's it. We'll be back next week with another show. Until then, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. Bye.